Everybody wants to be the first to go to the moon, the first to do this, the youngest. I didn't know I was making history. I didn't know all of those things that happened when I got the 10.
It was a wow. We knew that she can do perfect, but we never thought that she's gonna get a 10.
All people were ready, media prepared, public that Nadia or somebody has to get 10. It was sensation.
Ladies and gentlemen, first time in the history of the sport, a perfect 10 at the Olympic Games. Wow! And that incredible moment, that was just something that we never thought in our life that's going to happen with us.
I guess that defined my entire, everything that happened from then to now.
Perhaps more than any other sport, gymnastics demands perfection across 4 disciplines: balance beam, asymmetric bars, vault and the floor. And no gymnast has achieved that perfection more than Romania's Nadia Comaneci.
People, when they say my name, they just associate it immediately with gymnastics and Romania. That's what made me be who I am.
In the 1976 Olympics, she became the first girl to score a perfect 10. She won 5 Olympic golds and is the only woman to have won 3 European Championships. Few have come close to matching her quest for sporting perfection.
You have to try to exclude everything that's going on. So the only way I could do that was to just focus, and that was not easy. You have to train that to be able to not see anything that's going on. Even if you do the same thing, and it looks the same to you, it doesn't feel the same to me inside. Because sometimes I do perfect directions on something and I have no wobble. And sometimes the skill is so bad that I have to correct it in the air. So I have to fight very much, but you don't know, I only know. So that's the difference.
Ambele brațe vin. Du-te lung înapoi, lung.
I was driven towards something that I wanted to be the best, and I didn't know exactly what that was. It happened to be gymnastics.
Nadia Comaneci was born in the small Romanian town of Onesti in 1961. A sporty, outgoing child, she found her calling early in life.
I grew up in the little place. It was a small city. When I was 5, 6 years old, my mom told me that I was destroying many things in the house, the furniture, because of the energy that I had. Gymnastics was a good place for me to just do whatever I wanted that my mom and my dad wouldn't let me do at home.
And there was no better place than Onesti to learn gymnastics. A new experimental gym for young children had been set up by primary school teacher Bella Carolyi.
These young kids are having a tremendous potential, tremendous ambition, and the willingness to improve very fast. And that generation paid off big time, they became the very first time ever in the history of the Romanian sport, Olympic champions in the sport of gymnastics.
As Bella searched the local schools for talent, one young girl immediately caught his eye.
Nadia, poftim la tablă.
In one of the schools when I went into, I watched them on the recreation, playing out on the schoolyard. Then I've seen a few kids doing cartwheels. Oh gosh, you know, those are the ones I'm looking for.
He asked us who wants to do gymnastics, and we said, a few of us said that me, and we showed him what we can do.
In one class, 2 little girls from the way back on the last row of the benches, we can do cartwheel. All right, let me see. Ooh, nicely, nice. Okay. And what's your name? I'm Nadia.
It was a time of great political upheaval in Romania. The Carolis were under pressure as their gym was financed by dictator Nicolae Ceausescu's government. Results were expected, but Bella revelled in that pressure, and the children responded to his disciplined coaching methods.
Bella was more like a visionary guy, so he liked it to see things and say, okay, let's do it this way. I loved it. I know it was hard work, but at the beginning you don't realize that. But later in years, you understand how hard you have to work.
I think what we did with Bella that probably nobody else at the time knew, was the increased amount of conditioning and increased amount of hours. About 6 hours a day of gymnastics every day, but Thursday and Sunday. But we never told anybody that we were training 6. We said that 3.5. When you're a kid, somebody's got to give you a direction. Sometimes you like it, some people like it, some don't. So I kind of like it. I like to be disciplined.
Under Bella's regime, Nadia quickly established herself as the leader and role model to the other young girls. Her individual potential was obvious. She made her professional debut in the Romanian National Championships in 1970, aged only 9. She finished an impressive 13th.
She wanted to be a winner. She wanted to be the best. She wanted to shine. And she did not consider anything else that one would keep her back. I want to be the winner. And that really gave her wings in front of most of the other girls, which were almost the same kind of potentially great young kids.
Under Bella's guidance, Nadia continued to flourish. She'd grown stronger and more powerful, and there was nothing that she did not want to learn. After several early wins in her career, Nadia's first real test would come in the 1975 European Championships in Skien, Norway.
By 75, she was ready. All exercises was ready, perfectly prepared and done. So it took her 4 years to look this good. And also psychologically, I think she was already ready to compete.
Nadia's meticulous preparation paid off. At a mere 13 years of age, she became the European all-round champion. In a sport dominated by the Soviet Union, her breakthrough raised eyebrows across Eastern Europe.
Nadia was fantastic, was a revelation. And then she was younger, much younger than anybody else. And everybody was, wow, look at this little kid, what she can do, and she's better than the Russians.
She was almost perfect. And the way how she was performing surprised everybody at that time.
I did okay. I won. Yes, I said I did okay because I think I should have done better. That's what I felt. But I got no 10s. I got good scores, but no 10s.
Despite the growing collection of medals, the real test for Nadia still lay in wait. At 14, she would go to the 1976 Olympic Games in Montreal. And for the first time, she would come face to face with the pioneer of modern gymnastics, Olga Korbut. 4 years earlier, Korbut had taken the Games by storm in Munich. Graceful and emotive performances endeared the young Soviet to the German crowds. Although she lost out to her compatriot Ludmila Turisheva for the all-round title, Korbut had set a new standard for gymnasts the world over.
I see this girl, Olga Korbut. She was wonderful. I'm serious. When I did floor routine and when I finished, I knew the world is mine. Nobody can even talk to me. I didn't win. Hello, I'm the best.
Korbut and reigning champion Turisheva were the two favourites for the Olympics in '76. But the media attention focused on the clash between the Soviet Union's two queens and the young upstart from Romania.
the footage that they cut, they were me and Olga, so it was like a really tough competition.
You know, I'm more focusing on the team than Nadia. Who's Nadia? Most important for us was the winning team.
Nadia confirmed her status in the opening days of the competition. As she prepared for the asymmetric bars, she was about to change the face of women's gymnastics forever.
It was the compulsory routine. There was a routine that everybody had to do at that time.
Her body position, technique was correct.
I was hearing everybody saying, oh, but it was not such a big deal because there was like A, B, C, D of gymnastics, but the way I was adding some special effects to the routine got me to that 10. I don't watch the scoreboard usually, and I went back to the bench and I was preparing and thinking about what I have to do on the beam. And then I heard a huge amount of noise, and I turn around, and that comes the scoreboard around with a 0.73, which was my competition number on my leotard, and a 1.00.
And I'm looking over there, and Nadia coming off of the floor, and I'm looking, coming on 1.00. I said, holy cow, they deducted something off of her. There is a deduction, there's a penalty. Ooh, so I'm going toward the jury. Well, halfway toward the jury came the announcement, and ladies and gentlemen, first time in the history of the sport, a perfect 10 at the Olympic Games. Wow!
I think who was before me got a 9.95, and there was no place to go. 10 was the highest score.
Nadia received 7 perfect 10s. At just 14, she'd made history. Gold medals on the beam and asymmetric bars were followed by her inevitable crowning as Olympic all-round champion, ahead of the Soviet Union's Nelly Kim.
I got then on a beam, and then the next day I got bars and beam again, and bars and beam again, and apparently one more. So all the 10s were on those 2 events that I was actually the best.
The quality of her overall performance to the routine was so mesmerizing and was so impressive for the people who were watching that, of course, created that type of admiration and so then, oh wow, what we are seeing here, it's unhuman, it's out of ordinary. 7 perfect 10s. So there was that isolated incident. There was a constant, strong performance at the edge of the perfection.
Life would never be the same again for the young girl from Monesty. Under Bella's strict regime, the girls had been cut off from the adulation they'd been receiving back home in Romania. So the reception in Bucharest came as something of a shock.
When we landed in Bucharest airport, there were 10,000 people at the airport. They pushed me out first, and I stopped right there because I couldn't believe how many people were at the airport, and I went back to the plane because I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Because I didn't realize, because I was saying to myself, I've done those routines so many times and nobody cared. So I realized it was such a big deal, but probably if I were 18 or 19, I would have looked at that a little bit different, but 14, I mean.
Nadia was now a celebrity in her homeland. The whole country, as well as Ceausescu's regime, were paying close attention to her every move. The young teenager had charmed the world, but set herself formidable standards. She would now have to continue to improve.
After those Olympics, everything I had to go to, I had to win.
Under that sort of pressure, Nadia revealed a temperament that set her apart from her contemporaries. Yet throughout her career, she was often accused of being unemotional, unsmiling. The truth was rather different.
Many times I was criticized by people that I have no emotions, I have nothing that I show outside, but nobody knows what was inside. I went through everything because you're human and you go through emotions and scared because you want to do the best and you have one shot and you are prepared for that, but things can happen. And I had all of those, but I was not the kind of person so you can see it on my face.
I wanted to hear about how she's feeling about, oh, you could not hear because she was keeping it inside of her.
She had, I think, more talent than anybody else, and she was very calm. And that confidence, and you go in competition and you don't care what's around you. You're walking on that beam like you go on the street, on the boulevard. So controlling the nerves, I don't say she was nervous, never.
I think Nadia was prepared better psychologically. That's why she won.
In 1977, Nadia travelled to Prague to defend her European crown. There was huge pressure again. Since her performances in Montreal, the other gymnasts had closed the gap. And if the standard was now higher, the rivals remained the same.
In '77, I still felt like I have only one rival, which was Nadia.
Despite Nelly Kim's best efforts, Nadia matched her every step of the way to retain her European title. The gymnastic war between Romania and the Soviet Union rumbled on.
You know what? First you work for your name, and then the name works for you. That's what was for Nadia in 1977. She already was Nadia Comaneci. Even she made mistake. This mistake some kind of was forgiven by judges.
When Nadia started to compete in national competition, they start to give her 10, even she didn't do it. This is propaganda.
Despite the Soviet accusations, Nadia triumphed again. Her displays of technique were faultless. In 1977, she proved that she was without doubt the dominant gymnast of her era. But after that competition, things took a turn for the worse. The government decided to separate her from Bella and forced her to train in Bucharest. Nadia was now an adult, losing interest in the rigid world of gymnastics.
I wanted a change, I wanted out. I thought there was probably the time when I should just do something else. And I just quit for a couple of months.
But still, my heart was breaking, particularly for Nadia. Nadia was a unique personality, and I knew deep in her heart how much she's hurt.
I think then I called Bella back, and I said, I don't think I want to sit in my house. I want to do something.
And then I started to explain that it's almost impossible. They have government people behind you. I mean, the whole country have a grip on you, and it is almost no way. And besides, I tried to explain, we have only 5 weeks to go to the World Championship in France. In 5 weeks, it's almost impossible to put you back in the shape to be competitive in there. And if you're not competitive, Nadia, that's people gonna kill you. These people gonna destroy you. I mean, everybody's gonna blame on you. You wanna take that blame? You wanna take this challenge? She said, yes, I wanna take it. All right, then let's go.
It took me a little bit of time to get back in shape, and it was not easy.
And that was a daily ritual, which I would say it was very close, very close to the torture.
It was not an easy year, and I remember that. It was not easy. But I guess I let myself get into that situation, so it's mostly I take the fault on me on that one.
The vigorous training schedule came too late, however. Nadia was a shadow of her true self in the 1978 World Championships and finished only 5th. By 1979, she was back in shape and back to her best in time for the European Championships.
I think that was probably my best year in '79.
Yes, 1979, European Championship probably was the climax and the best performance ever of her life.
This was a different gymnast. The taller, leaner, meaner Nadia was a long way from the precocious 14-year-old who had captured the world's imagination at the Montreal Olympics.
In '76, I was a kid beginner winning something that I didn't expect to. In '79, I was ready and prepared to win because I felt strong enough to do that.
She's a very beautiful young woman on the floor with a great personality, with expression, and really she totaled what everybody wanted to see everywhere from the sport of gymnastics, not just great skills, but beautiful, beautiful performance. Her presentation and her way of performing, that was mesmerizing.
Nadia Comaneci, Romanian.
Her performances saw her win the Champions Cup for her third consecutive European title, the only gymnast in history to achieve the feat.
I think my best accomplishment was to be the best for the 6 years that I competed in the European Championships, which was 75, 77, 79. To be the best 6 years, that's a long time.
Yet by her own admission, Nadia will be most associated with the Olympics. In 1980, she had to defend her title in enemy territory, the Soviet Union.
I knew it's double hard because I am the Olympic champion and I'm also in some place that everybody else wants to win. And I made a big mistake. I fell from the bars. And then the second day, I carry all those mistakes with me and I ended up on second.
But going into the last event of the day, Nadia still had a chance to retain her all-round gold medal. She needed a score of 9.95 on the beam for that to happen.
Hit the ground. Yes! She's all-around champion. And when the score came up, it was absolutely, absolutely devastating to me and anybody else who knew the sport of gymnastics.
After nearly half an hour, the judges came to the conclusion that her routine was worth only a 9.85. The Soviet gymnast, Yelena Davidova, took gold.
We were brutally handicapped and we brutally executed by, that time, the Soviet judging. I said, this is highway robbery. This is the greatest injustice I ever seen, and I did not let it go. And I did not let it go.
In the individual medal stakes, Nadia won 2 more golds, on the beam and the floor, in which she shared first with her old enemy, Nellie Kim. And on the podium, they would speak for the first time.
We were both tired, and we said, okay, finally we are ready to quit. Yes, we are ready to quit, we are tired. It was very friendly, nice talk.
I knew I wouldn't go further than that. I mean, there was no 1984 Olympic Games for me because I was happy with what I've done. And even in the 80s, it could have been worse than that, but still at the end, I got 4 medals and 2 golds, and I was pretty happy.
After retirement came defection. In 1989, Nadia escaped Romania's increasingly troubled regime and moved to the USA.
I'm very happy because I'm here in America and I wanted from long time to come here.
She has settled into a new life in Oklahoma, working for various charities with her husband, former US gymnast Bart Connor. More than 30 years since she came to the world's attention, Nadia Comaneci can now relax. But it's in the gym where she shone brightest as the figurehead of the most revolutionary movement in gymnastic history.
We opened a new era. And the new era was bringing in the young generation.
It's was a big surprise. Little girls coming out in a competition and do better gymnastics than the Russians. And I think, yeah, that was the biggest revolution in the sport.
It was a Soviet Union team or gymnasts who always won gold medal in women's gymnastics. When Romania showed up and Nadia appeared on the podium, of course, she dragged attention from public and media.
Drive, focus, technique and talent. Nadia Comaneci had all these qualities and more. And then, of course, there were the perfect tens that symbolize the most perfect of careers.
What made me? I think I should let Bella say that about me. It's hard to, what am I going to say about me? That I'm the best, I'm stronger.
Nadia is the ultimate athlete. Body and mind, talent and thinking, courage and performance. These are the type of things that want make it a great athlete, the great, great, great ones.
I like to work hard. I find my motivation. I don't like to go halfway. I like to go all the way if I get involved in something. I think there is that kind of determination that maybe just a few people have. I don't like to quit when it's hard. It's like, sounds kind of boring, no?